Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a conversation with someone where halfway through you realize, okay, wait, this person actually gets what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people misunderstand this, right? When people talk about mental connection, they sometimes imagine two people debating like it's a competition.
Not just the words, the idea behind the words.
But the most enjoyable conversations usually don't feel competitive at all. They feel collaborative. Think about it like a road trip. One person might be driving, but the other person is pointing out interesting things along the way. You're still moving forward together. And that's what great conversations feel like.
Because there's a big difference between someone listening and someone who is thinking with you. And I think a lot of men are drawn to that kind of interaction, not because they want someone to argue with them and not because they want someone to agree with everything either, but because good conversations feel like exploring ideas together. You know what I mean? Like when you say something and the other person catches the deeper meaning immediately, or they ask a question that shows they understood your point, but they're curious about another angle. For example, you say something like, people who are quiet in a room are usually observing. And instead of just nodding, she goes, wait, observing what exactly? Like social dynamics? And suddenly the conversation becomes way more interesting. Now you're both thinking about it. You're building the idea together. And that's actually a very attractive dynamic because it doesn't feel like a debate. It feels like mental chemistry. And mental chemistry is underrated.
The direction is there, but both people are adding to the experience. And some women are naturally very good at this. They know how to expand a conversation instead of overpowering it. For example, imagine a guy saying, I think mystery is attractive because people are curious about what they don't fully understand. And she responds with something like, so is mystery actually about silence or about leaving space for people to imagine things? Now suddenly the idea got deeper. No one is competing. They're just exploring. And that's where real conversational chemistry happens because both people are bringing something to the table.
A lot of conversations stay on surface level, work, schedules, random updates. But every once in a while, you meet someone who naturally takes conversations deeper, not in a heavy way, in a curious way. And when that happens, it feels like the conversation has momentum, like you're both discovering something. And here's the interesting part. The women who do this well aren't trying to prove they're smarter. They're simply engaged. They ask thoughtful questions. They add perspective. They challenge ideas without turning it into a competition. And that creates this kind of relaxed but stimulating energy, like intellectual sparring. Not fighting, sparring.
One of the things that makes these conversations enjoyable is timing. And good conversationalists have a sense of rhythm. They know when to ask a question, when to add a thought, and when to simply listen. Like it's kind of like music. If someone jumps in at the wrong moment, the flow breaks. But when the timing is right, everything feels smooth. And when two people find that rhythm with each other, the conversation can go on for hours without feeling forced.
And those conversations are fun. You leave them feeling sharper than when you started. And honestly, that kind of connection sticks in your mind.
That's why mental connection can create attraction surprisingly fast because it feels rare. It feels like you met someone who can keep up with the flow of your thoughts, not in a competitive way, in a curious way. And when that happens, conversations stop feeling like small talk. They start feeling like shared discovery. And once people experience that kind of connection with someone, it becomes something they naturally look for again.